All right, couple notes from my Cut 30 class that I just got done with. Today's guest was this guy named Nate who has a cooking channel. He's not a chef. He doesn't know how to cook, and he started this cooking channel and it absolutely blew up. Funnels. So at the top of the funnel, you've got reach. This is like awareness. This is bigger picture conversation stuff, talking about the Olympics as they're going on, or like if something happens in the news, Taylor Swift does XYZ, how can you kind of like loop that into your content to and embed your message to reach a wider audience rather than just kind of like talking about, what you do or your ideas. And this is kind of where I'm stuck, or what I've been doing so far right now is not really playing more to this like higher level reach, not participating in a bigger conversation, just kind of sticking more to my ideas. So now it's like for me, like how do I think more about how can I take my ideas and tap into that wider reach? A level below that is going to be creating value. So this is like following me on Instagram. So it could be super entertaining, could be providing a ton of value or something that they can't get anywhere else. And the last one is like lead, nurture. And this is going from making them a follower to a fan. So having a newsletter where you go in depth on a bunch of different things, and you just give even more value to that person that might want to go one step further down the funnel. And like if you were to post 5 times a week, what they kind of recommend is you do 2 reach, like top of funnel awareness, 2 on the creating value, and maybe 1 on the nurture. Another line that resonated with me was they talked about testing strategy is greater than growth strategy. So often we want to have like a strategy and sit down and figure out maybe what content pillars are or what the series are going to be. But really what you should just be doing is shooting bullets and testing and getting it out there and seeing what people are actually responding to prior to sitting down and falling into the temptation of like strategizing too much. We talked about if there's ever a second where you, the creator, feel like there's a dull section or you like days off or you look away, that just means that it's not engaging enough. So you just got to tighten, trim until it's like so flippin' engaging that you're not losing any attention. He says sometimes you can go a little too far in that direction, so it's a bit about finding the right balance for those things. But I've definitely seen some of my content where it's like it's like kill your darlings. Sometimes you have something in there that doesn't actually need to be there. And his thing was err on the side of being too engaging. One thing that everybody talked about a lot was this contrast, like this versus that. So this $10 cleaning supply versus this $100 cleaning supply, or I cleaned my house for 10 minutes and then I cleaned it for 10 hours. And like you want to stick around and see the difference. And this guy was talking about the guest speaker that they had on today. He was saying if he had to start from zero, that type of contrasting content would be something that he would lean into immediately. Got into talk about the importance of the hook, and it's just like a YouTube thumbnail. Like it is the absolute most important thing, that if you could have the best content in the world, but if you have a shitty hook, it's going to fall flat. He'll workshop a bunch of different hooks. He might spend 10 hours on a video. He's going to spend 3 hours of that working on the hook. And just like getting inspiration from other creators that are out there in your niche, just out there that you respect, that you enjoy, that you consume their content. Could be in your niche, it could be in a different niche, but seeing what hooks you in there. And he talked about this bear spray like hook that came across. He was like, bear spray only works if you have these 2 things. And he was like, well, I don't even pay attention to bear spray, but now I want to know what these 2 things are. And he'll probably see like you're going to see that making it into my hook as well, or my content. And just being like an expert of consumption when it comes to people talking about what you're interested in doing. So for me, in like marketing, business, and advertising and branding, I know it's like a lot of words there, but there's so many channels out there and there's some really good stuff. So for me, just paying a bit more attention to like, all right, looking at their top performing videos, seeing what their hooks were and what the content was, and then like, could I just reproduce some content like that, put my own flair and my own spin on it? And it's not copying, it's not plagiarizing, because everybody's referencing from everybody anyways, but it's leveraging that as you start to figure out how to kind of write your own song. So it's going and playing songs from your favorite band or Led Zeppelin and like Stairway to Heaven, so you can learn the actual mechanics of like how to play a guitar, and then you can kind of like move on from there. Always starting with brainstorming series. So he doesn't really go too deep on something before he knows that he can actually like pull it off on a consistent series, because making so much content is really freaking hard, which is in a direct contrast to the previous guest who said she never thought in series. She would just make it once, and then if the audience thought that like they responded to it, then that would be something that she would keep making. So I thought that was a good like point counterpoint. And then he briefly talked about a little bit He talked a little bit about the revenue from his business, 3/4 of which comes from his cookbook that he sells, which is all organic right now, and about 1/4 of that revenue from brand deals.